Right here, the tire hit him.
A plane makes an emergency landing on this crowded beach, injuring one small boy.
It's all anyone can talk about. USA winning the Women's World Cup. Now what will those star players do?
And we share with you a few special secrets kept at Disneyland that you're going to want to know.
Live in high definition. Caring, committed, proud of East Texas. You're watching East Texas News at 4.
Good Monday afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us for East Texas News at 4.
We hope you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and we know one bird that certainly enjoyed hers. What's a more perfect day for an injured eagle than to test out her wings?
Yeah, Go America Day. That's a perfect day. A rehab center planned her release on Independence Day. We'll show you how she is faring coming up in just a little bit later on this newscast. But first, some frightening video of an emergency landing on a crowded California beach. A small plane carrying an advertising banner goes down after losing power, flipped over in the sand, and injured a child. Rena Neenan shows us the video with the whole thing caught on camera.
It's the harrowing moment caught on tape. Beachgoers hope never to see, let alone experience. Nice landing. A single-engine plane losing power, crash landing on a crowded California beach Saturday, injuring a 12-year-old boy who was bodyboarding with his friends.
At the last second, he saw it, and he almost fell back trying to get out of the way. And I guess it hit his face, something hit his face, and Titus and I were so scared.
Watch again as the plane, which was towing an advertising banner over the Carlsbad shores, hits the sand and flips over. That's when the wing strikes Nicholas Bear in the head. Bystanders rushing to help.
I was holding the back of his head and just trying to keep him calm and wait for people to show up.
Just 10 minutes before the accident, Nicholas and his friends posed for this photo. His friends showing us how he tried to protect himself as a plane came crashing down.
Right here, the tire hit him.
This morning, Nicholas is recovering in the ICU. The 23-year-old pilot, the only person on board, walked away from the crash uninjured.
Man, the company that owns that plane said the pilot had 700 hours of training and the plane had been serviced and checked out. Everything was fine, but it's still unbelievable video there, especially to see how many people are on that beach.
Right. And
how much worse it could have been that one boy is injured, obviously, but is okay enough to talk. The number of people he could have hit is just mind-boggling.
So many more could have been injured on such a crowded day. Oh, wow. Well, shocking dash cam video shows the moment a bus fell off a bridge in China last week, killing 11 passengers on board. Police say the driver of the bus was speeding. In the video, you can see the driver doesn't slow down when he takes the corner. He then crashes into the guardrails on the bridge and the bus careens down into the river below. The bus was carrying 28 passengers, including 26 South Korean tourists, a Chinese tour guide, and the bus driver. The crash is still under investigation.
Tragedy struck over this holiday weekend. A 4th person was found in the bottom of the Houston County Lake today. On Sunday, 4 family members went out on a 2-hour canoe trip and never came back. 3 of them were found yesterday. One of those was a 6-year-old. Game wardens tell us it appears all 4 were provided with life jackets, but none had them on when the bodies were recovered. The 4 have been identified as Juan Cantu, who was in his mid-50s, 47-year-old Amy Mendez, 49-year-old Antonio Gutierrez, and 6-year-old Sebastian Chavez, all of them from the Houston area. The city of Lufkin's fire marshal is having a tough time determining what caused a fire that left 5 family pets dead yesterday. Investigator Steve McCool is calling it an unintentional fire. He said the primary focus is the kitchen area, which sustained the heaviest damage. Lisa and Mitch Norman said the kitchen is where that fire started and where their 4 dogs and cat were.
Storm Tracker Weather is sponsored by Tyler Oral and Facial Surgery Center, where care has no boundaries.
We're going to visit now with Chief Meteorologist Mark Scirto. It was a pretty nice 4th of July weekend that we had. Can't complain.
You can't complain too much when the temperatures are only in the low and a few in the mid-90s on the 4th of July weekend. And there was a nice little breeze, and, a few showers here or there, but it ended up being really nice. And it looks like this week, not much difference. As we look outside right now, you still look at a kind of a partly to mostly cloudy sky, a little hazy out there as well. But you know what? It's not bad. You see those flags blowing around out there? That breeze has made everything feel much better around here lately. And really for most of the summer, you can see the wind at 13 miles an hour at the Texas Freshwater Fishery Center in Athens. It's out of the south, and wind gusts at 25. And you know, when you say the high's only 92, you know as well as I do, it's been a lot warmer than that this time of year. It seems like in summers past, but we haven't had the rain that we had in the spring, which makes things much better around here. Storm Tracker Live Doppler radar is quiet. Temperatures in Tyler is 90, 91 in Longview, and a little warmer in Lufkin at 95 degrees right now. And the heat index values 96 Tyler, 98 Longview, but in the triple digits in many locations, especially over the southern half and the eastern sections of East Texas. So some quick headlines. Really not much rain expected this week. A chance tomorrow, a chance again on Wednesday, but that's about it. Lots of sunshine expected for the upcoming weekend, and Precision Cast will kind of show you that through tonight things stay quiet, but notice it kind of gets mostly cloudy in the morning. We could see a few showers kind of moving on through during the afternoon, and it looks like once again mostly cloudy early on Wednesday morning. We are looking for, though, partly cloudy skies to continue for the rest of this evening and into tonight. Temperatures holding in the low 90s for the most part throughout the evening. So, again, you really can't complain too much, especially for this time of year.
Yeah, no complaints from me. All right, thanks, Mark. Taylor?
You can't complain, but people will.
Oh, you sure?
They will.
That's just what happens. Guys, thank you so much. The soccer chant, "We will win," came true last night for Team USA in the Women's World Cup final. America is not unable to stop talking about it either. The stars of the show scoring 4 quick goals to win the match yesterday. What will they do now that they're household names? Find out in 60 seconds.
If you watched Team USA win the Women's World Cup last night, you likely know the names Carly Lloyd, Abby Wambach, and Hope Solo. Yep, there are just a lot of stars on the team, and they could soon be popping up in ads online, on TV, and in magazines. Paul LaMonica reports on the team's marketing potential.
This year's U.S. women's national soccer team could become marketing superstars, but only if they win the World Cup. We haven't had this much focus on women's soccer in America since 1999. That team won in front of nearly 18 million viewers. Brandi Chastain, who scored the winning goal, became an endorsement star after this iconic moment. Her teammate Julie Foudy did several ads for Bud Light. And superstar Mia Hamm is still doing commercials.
Mia Hamm has always been driven by one thing: winning.
This year's team has a lot of potential off the soccer field. It's full of established stars like Abby Wambach, Hope Solo, and Alex Morgan. All 3 have deals with Nike, which also makes the team's jerseys. Those 3 are playing alongside young rising stars like Julie Johnston, Kristen Press, and Morgan Bryant. But many Americans still don't know who these players are, despite a big push on social media, including much Twitter love by superfan Tom Hanks. Some say the team just hasn't been in the spotlight enough. It doesn't help that star goalkeeper Hope Solo has some off-field issues, including an arrest for domestic violence, charges that were later dropped. But this team has still got a lot of profit potential. Some of the players are already in ads. Press has been featured in a commercial for Coppertone. And there's this chapstick spot with Alex Morgan, but it doesn't actually show her playing soccer. She and her teammates could cash in just like Chastain, Foudy, and Hamm did 16 years ago. But they have to win it all. Nothing less will do.
And they sure did. Carly Lloyd wrote yesterday on her Instagram, "No words to describe how happy I am right now. We did it. So proud of everyone on this team." A big congratulations to those ladies. We were all cheering you on. Taylor?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. Right now, let's get you caught up on some big stories that we are following for you today. South Carolina's state Senate gave preliminary approval to a bill that would remove the Confederate flag from the Capitol grounds. There will be one more vote in the Senate tomorrow before the bill goes to the state house. Now, a Texas gay couple received a marriage license today after filing a federal lawsuit against Hood County Clerk Katie Lang. Lang had cited her religious opposition when denying that couple their license last week. And in sports news today, Texas sports news to be specific, Manu Ginobili announced today that he will return to the San Antonio Spurs. Over the weekend, the Spurs landed LaMarcus Aldridge, one of the best free agent players on the market, setting them up to be very good this year. Jennifer, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Taylor. Mark takes us to Arizona for our first big weather story. Weekend storms created a soggy mess for residents in Tucson. And later, we take you inside Disneyland and reveal some secrets about the park. Keep it right here. Welcome back to East Texas News at 4. Take a look at what our 4 p.m. producer Whitney found this morning. This is her morning snack. Can you see what we see? Yep, that's right. It's a cross on a peach. Whitney bought this peach this past weekend. Didn't actually see this cross until this morning. So what do you think? Divine intervention? Either way, it's pretty cool.
Cool peach, Whitney.
Checking in with Mark for our first big weather story. I have to start by wishing Mark a very happy 74th birthday. I couldn't be happier for you, buddy. You don't look a day over 71. What's going on in big weather story today?
I'm going to make you do.
Happy birthday, Mark.
Thank you, Jennifer.
74 candles.
Wow. Well, you know, it's even hard to start after that.
I bet.
Normally this time of year we're talking about heat, and in some places it's pretty hot, but we're actually talking about flooding in the desert Southwest. Let's go ahead and look. The National Weather Service in Tucson issued severe thunderstorm warnings yesterday. Storm causing all kinds of flooding. Their wind up to 60 miles per hour, nickel-sized hail. And for the second time in less than a year, a school there was flooded because of these monsoon rains. A couple of teens were actually washed away, but thank God they were rescued unharmed during the downpour. Some of the scattered and isolated showers and thunder showers expected to occur for the rest of this week in parts of Arizona. We'll see that here in just a few minutes. Totals ranging from 1 to 2 inches. Now, you're thinking 1 to 2 inches, that just doesn't seem like a lot. But when it's in a desert portion of the U.S., 1 to 2 inches of rain can be a great deal. So let's go ahead and go to Storm Tracker Live Doppler radar. And this is very quickly going through 24 hours worth of rain in parts of Arizona. You can also see parts of New Mexico as well. And you can see in southern sections of Arizona down there near the Tucson area, the rain's starting to fire up again this afternoon. So I'm sure they're going to have to watch out for some flash flooding out there again today.
Tough to call it a dry heat when stuff like that is happening.
I know it. And when you're saying 1 to 2 inches around here, you're thinking that's a nice shower. Although we get flooding out of that, but 1 to 2 inches of rain in that part of the country
does not look like that.
No, you're right.
All right, thank you, sir. Jennifer, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, guys. The 4th of July fireworks show got started a day early at Disney World, but this show wasn't planned. Friday night, visitors got a special performance at the Magic Kingdom, compliments of Mother Nature. Evidently, the lightning storm put on quite a display as social media lit up throughout the evening with various shots of lightning around the castle. Fortunately, there were no reports of anyone getting hurt. Well, though millions of people have visited Disneyland, few know about 3 secret locations that are inside the park. Christina Aliski goes inside the most sacred spaces in the happiest place on earth, all with special ties to Walt himself.
Disneyland. In the 60 years since the park opened, millions of people have walked these streets. It seems like every inch of this place is just so perfectly curated fantasy. But behind every good magic trick is an even better secret. CNN Money got special access to 3 of the most sacred spots inside Disneyland. 3 places the public can't go.
Hi.
Good morning, Christina.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Disney Dream Suite.
This luxurious 2-bedroom apartment was designed to be a special place for Walt Disney and his family inside the park.
This upstairs space of Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, which is below us, was a perfect place for a dream suite.
Walt planned every inch, but he died before it could be completed.
Fortunately, we have these renderings. It had every detail in there that you needed to know to feel what it would be like to be in that space.
40 years passed, and it was finally time to complete Walt's project.
We decided if there's going to be an apartment in Disneyland, it has to have a few more special things to it.
Every space in the Dream Suite has a little bit of magic. The flip of an ordinary switch, and lights change color, music swells, and animatronics swing into action. Imagineer Kim Irvine brought it to life. How many years have you been working for Disney?
45 years. My dad was an animator at the studio for years and years and years, and then my mom was an Imagineer.
It's the job of an Imagineer to turn the mundane into magic. Clearly, Walt Disney had a thing for trains. So we're sitting in a very historic part of the park.
Yes.
Where are we?
We're in the Lily Bell, and she was on the rails on opening day, 1955.
This special train car, named after Walt's wife Lillian, was designed to carry VIPs around the park, and once in a while, a lucky guest.
We get asked for rides, but it's not easy to get on board.
That's because Disney has to keep access restricted. The Lily Bell is like a museum on wheels.
We've been trying to maintain her like this ever since. It takes a lot of work to make sure that it continues on for posterity.
There's only one place in the park more hallowed. The year is 1955. This is Walt's home away from home, a hidden apartment above Main Street, USA, where the park's creator could oversee its construction from inside out. It's 60 years later, and this room has barely been touched. The Victorian details left intact, from family photos on the walls to the Regina music box. While hardly anyone gets to visit this place, a light in the window remains on, a symbol of Walt's presence here. Through its elaborate sets and dramatic lighting, Disneyland transports you to another time and place. But real history lives in secret spots that only a lucky few ever see.
Well, some other hidden secrets. Ride in the purple teacup on the Mad Hatter ride. It supposedly spins the fastest. And if you touch the apple at Snow White's Scary Adventures, the Queen will laugh. Have you ever done that one?
I've never been to any Disney park.
You haven't?
No,
it's been a while for
I
me.
want to go. I absolutely want to go, but I've never been to any Disney park at all.
Well, when you do go, here's another thing. Disneyland's address is 1313 Disneyland Drive. The 13th letter of the alphabet is the letter M, so the address actually spells MM for Mickey Mouse. Yeah.
My son would know that one.
They thought of everything.
Well, you know, when you're building something that size, you got to put little fun things in it to get people's attention, to have stories like that. It makes it all the more interesting, I think.
Sure does. Well, a young girl battling cancer is given the royal treatment by members in her community.
And later, Caitlin the dog is living the good life. This weekend, she posed for a firefighter calendar to raise money for her friends still living at the shelter. We're back with more on Caitlin. Keep it here.
It's the video you've been reading about online today. Yesterday was a dream come true for a Baton Rouge teen who has been fighting cancer for 6 years. As East Texas News' Erica Basildua reports, she and her family got the royal treatment. Now you see.
Being a princess, having your days filled with shopping and makeovers and photo shoots. It's a dream any teenage girl could have, especially when your days are usually spent fighting for your life.
She's a great kid. 6 years ago, we were devastated with the news that, that she diagnosed with cancer. This past February, we found out that it came back.
Gracie Levine has been fighting a brain tumor for half of her 14 years. But through multiple surgeries, her family says she has remained strong through it all. So it's fitting that she was chosen to be a princess for a day by the Louisiana State Troopers Association and Dreams Come True.
These kids, they're such a ray of sunlight. It's unbelievable. The stuff they go through and experience is heartening. It's unbelievable. And for them to walk around with a smile and go about their day like nothing's wrong, it's rewarding.
Gracie and her family were surprised with a day of pampering, including a limo ride, shopping, lunch, makeovers, and a photo shoot at the governor's mansion.
Like today, they forget about their chemo, their radiation, and this is what we strive for. We want to put so much joy in their life.
As for Gracie,
I wanted to especially thank the people that came together and did this for me. I can't explain how thankful I am for that.
Erica Basildua, East Texas News.
Several businesses in the area helped out with the pampering session by donating their services.
We shared her story with you on East Texas News at 4 last week. Caitlin, the dog that was adjusting nicely to her foster home. This weekend, the 15-month-old Staffordshire Bull Terrier is one of 15 rescues who posed with 15 South Carolina firefighters in an annual calendar. The calendar helps to raise money for the Charleston Animal Society, which is the organization that helped Caitlin recover from her injuries. You may remember Caitlin was the one found with electrical tape wrapped tightly around her muzzle. She posed with Josh Allen, a firefighter with the St. Andrews Fire Department. Allen visited with Caitlin a couple of days before the shoot and spent time bonding with her so she would feel completely comfortable around him. Caitlin was on her best behavior and proved to be one of the easier rescues to photograph during that session.
Oh, look how cute she is.
One member of our studio crew that will remain nameless said, "Lucky dog," when those pictures came out.
Yeah, the firefighters weren't bad looking either, but the dog was really cute.
Firefighters weren't bad looking either. That's true. Okay, he's a man on a mission traveling cross country to try and find out who and where his biological father is.
Plus, one woman takes on the law after receiving a ticket that she deemed unfair. It turns out that the officer that wrote it made a mistake on the actual citation. Did she win? Keep right here to find out.
You're watching KLTV 7, your East Texas news leader. Caring, committed, proud of East Texas. You're watching East Texas News at 4.
Welcome back to East Texas News at 4. Still to come today, a rare humpback whale has been spotted off the coast of New Zealand. We'll show it to you.
And an injured eagle is finally set free this Independence Day. And later, he thought he had lost it for good, but thanks to his hungry stomach, he got it back in the form of change.
We're going to explain all that, or try to, a little bit later on in this newscast. But first, an Indianapolis man is on a cross-country trip. Nick Barbnecht hopes to visit all of the 48 lower states in 30 days. It's not just for sightseeing. As Jim Scheller reports, the 24-year-old is hoping to find a link to his past.
I am in Kalispell, Montana, just south of Glacier National Park.
I talked to Nick Barbnecht via Skype from his car.
Hi, Garrett.
For the first time today, he has a travel companion, and he hopes to finish the day in Oregon. He's driving cross-country following a route developed by a Michigan State researcher, the most efficient way to visit 48 states.
The fort I went to in North Dakota, I will never go back to. But I'm positive I will go back to Glacier National Park.
He is seeing the sights with stops so far in Des Moines and Minneapolis. He really enjoyed the Badlands of South Dakota. But what he really hopes is to find his birth father.
I've got a bunch of details about him. I know who he is. Born in Southern California, and so I'm going to see if I can find him there from a couple of addresses a private investigator put together for me.
In the process, the one-time foster child hopes to raise money for an orphanage in Zimbabwe. He has a GoFundMe page where he's requesting donations to help pay for the trip. Leftovers go to the orphanage. He doesn't know what the odds of success are in fundraising or finding his father.
I'm not certain I'll find him. I'm not certain the addresses are current enough. If I don't, this will be the best trip I've ever had. If I do, it'll be an even better trip.
In the meantime, he's sharing his experience on social media when he can find Wi-Fi.
I've gotten the bulk of the bad driving behind me already, and then the eastern states will be shorter bursts. But 8 hours a day on average isn't that bad.
And there will be no driving on the day set aside to find out where he came from.
Now, of course, if we get any kind of update on Nick and his journey to find his dad, we will be sure and bring it to you on East Texas News at 4.
An East Texas City Council may make a final decision on a controversial Jesus Welcomes You to Hawkins sign that stands on city property. The 18-foot sign has been under scrutiny since June 1st, when the Freedom from Religion Foundation sent a letter to the council requesting the sign be moved. The foundation says the sign violates the separation of church and state laws. Though many in Hawkins have petitioned to keep the sign where it is, others, including the Chamber of Commerce, support moving the sign to a place where it doesn't create a public ruckus. The City Council meeting is scheduled to hear the issue and make a decision tonight at 6.
Storm Tracker Weather is sponsored by Tyler Oral and Facial Surgery Center, where care has no boundaries.
Well, once again, when you are at this part of July, you kind of think, this part of the summer anyway, you're always thinking, maybe it's got to be hot. Yes, it's warm, and the temperature humidity index values are up there at 100, maybe even higher than that in some spots, but just doesn't feel that bad with the breeze that we've had out here lately. And as you look outside, you'll see a shot of the square in downtown Tyler, and the flags are still blowing. We've still got that southerly wind out there at about 10 to 15, even gusts up to around 20 miles an hour. Making it feel awfully nice out there. Here's a wind gust of 21 at our Grant and Flannery neighborhood weather net stop at ARP Junior High School, where again, it's only 90 degrees, but that humidity at 58% is putting that temperature humidity index value at 100, and that's what it feels like out there. Yeah, you can go ahead and call that hot. I would tend to agree with you there. As we look at Storm Tracker Live Doppler radar, it's quiet. Temperatures 90 Tyler, 91 Longview, 95 in Lufkin. Nacogdoches right at 90 degrees, but the heat index values, you can see Lufkin's at 101. The hot spot, we got 103 in Marshall, 102 in Groveton. So yeah, it can be pretty warm out there. Even the state of Texas right now, for this time of day, this time of year, is not all that bad. Yeah, Del Rio feels like 101, 103 in Brownsville. That's really uncomfortable. But you know as well as I do, it's been much hotter than that this time of year. How about 92 at 6, 84 at 9, then down to around 80 degrees, and again, a partly cloudy sky. We start off mostly cloudy tomorrow, but then once again, lots of sun expected during the afternoon. Anissa?
Thanks, Mark. A woman in West Jefferson, Ohio was shocked when she fought the law and won. Andrea Camilleri is now owed money instead of having to pay anything. Camilleri thought her car was stolen back in February of 2014 when it wasn't parked outside of her house. But it had not been stolen. It had been ticketed and towed. Her truck was towed because she parked on the street for more than 24 hours. But when she looked up the ordinance, she noticed something missing. The ordinance about parking time limits applies to a motor vehicle camper, not a motor vehicle and a camper, because there's no comma between the two. Last week, an appeals judge ruled the ordinance should be read as it's written, that the parking rules apply to motor vehicle campers and not Camilleri's truck.
I said, okay, that's fine. I'll see you in court. I brought the ordinance home to my boyfriend. He read it and he goes, it's done. It's missing a comma. I was told don't fight City Hall. I'd never win, and I did.
Camilleri said her ticket will be expunged and she will be reimbursed for her towing and legal fees. Halori says that adds up to about $1,500. The appellate judge in the case wrote in this decision that West Jefferson should add a comma if it wants to ticket personal vehicles.
The moral of the story is not about fighting anybody.
What's that?
Proofread.
You know how
That's what the moral of the story is.
The two admitted nerds up here.
Absolutely.
It's all about the comma.
If you're going to have any kind of official document or even a letter to somebody, proofread, have someone smarter than you proofread it and say, hey, should I have a comma anywhere in here? Any capitalization issues? Something, because it may get you in trouble or out of trouble later on. We'll be right back.
2 people were killed Saturday night when a boat capsized on the Ohio River in Louisville, Kentucky. One of the victims was a 14-year-old boy who recently graduated from middle school. East Texas News' Julia Janae has more from the teenager's friends.
I didn't know how to think or how to react, you know what I'm saying?
Trey Allgaier spent years sharing a football field with Mark.
He had the most potential I've ever seen in somebody. Like every time he'd run a lap or he'd do something, he just put his everything in it.
Mark's potential almost as big as his personality.
Usually big guys like that, you think they're, but he was a soft guy, you know what I'm saying? Just, I don't know. It's just hard to imagine that he's gone.
But his personality and strength gave him the nickname Big Mark.
He led the football players in the prayer huddle, and he just was just a great Christian leader.
He kind of bragged about being real strong, so I said, really, you are? He says, yeah. Hey, come here. So he came and he picked me up, threw me up in the air, and he almost dropped me, but he caught me. And everyone started laughing real hard.
He's really bold, and he's not afraid to talk in front of anybody. And he's nice to everybody.
It's that sincereness and loving personality that's helping these soon-to-be high schoolers cope with losing one of their dearest friends. Some posting to Instagram, sharing their condolences using the hashtag RIP Big Mark.
But knowing that he's with Jesus up in heaven, I think it kind of helps a little bit.
Julia Janae, East Texas News.
3 people who were on the boat are still missing.
Here's a look at a few of the other top stories we are following for you this afternoon. Police say there is no evidence of actual gunshots or injuries after officers searched a 20-story tower at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center outside of Washington today. Police say a 911 call reported hearing a single shot inside Building 1. That's the original hospital on the campus in Bethesda. On today's Stage 3 of the Tour de France, a massive crash took down a number of riders. Look at this, and forced 2 of the top cyclists in the race to leave. Race organizers halted the race because there weren't enough doctors or ambulances to care for all those injured riders. Man, thousands, they're talking possibly as many as 1 million people, cheered Pope Francis as he arrived at the Semanas Park in Ecuador today. Earlier, the Pope spent a minute praying at a shrine beneath a large portrait of Jesus. The Pope told the crowd that he would pray for them. He's the first Pope to visit Ecuador in 30 years.
It's like the Beatles came back and landed. I mean, it was
a million
amazing.
people there for him to be coming into the country. That's really neat to see. Really cool.
Love it.
The NASA image is on the other side of our break. Plus, we'll check back in with Mark. Warm temperatures, high winds to blame for wildfires popping up all across the western U.S.
And a rare humpback whale has been spotted. We'll show you more of this incredible video that some lucky spectators shot after this break. Time for the NASA image of the day. Despite its cold waters and harsh winds, the North Sea is a fertile basin for phytoplankton blooms. The drifting plant-like organisms tend to be most abundant in late spring and early summer because of the high levels of nutrients in the water and also increasing sunlight. This image, acquired on June 11th by the Moderate Resolution Imaging Spectroradiometer on NASA's Aqua satellite, shows a massive phytoplankton blooming between Denmark, the UK, and Germany. That is so cool. To view the image again or others like it, you can head over to our mobile app and click on the NASA slideshow on the left side of your screen.
What you didn't just see was the big fist bump that you gave Anissa.
I gave her a fist bump. That was good. That's a good moment in anchoring right there. Let's join Mark again for our second big weather story. Some places in the western United States especially really starting to heat up right now. And in addition to the rain they're seeing in the southwest, heat.
Heat is a problem. Wildfire season upon us, and it's beginning to show out west big time. Let's go ahead and check out some of the video. Again, the perfect fuel here. One fire raging in Idaho. Right now has burned more than 600 acres, destroyed at least 6 homes, and overnight evacuations were also ordered. Dry land, hot temperatures, and steady winds have been contributing to the fire's growth. Plumes of smoke can be seen up to 40 miles away.
Gosh.
Over the weekend, 3 wildfires believed to have been sparked from 4th of July fireworks set off in the incredibly dry conditions California is enduring right now. And across the country, in parts of Florida right now, we've also got some problems going on there. And it is believed that throughout the day, lightning struck the Avanti Resort in Orlando, causing it to go up in flames. The good news, no one was injured. More than 50 new wildfires were sparked over the weekend. Smoke from these wildfires, and even in British Columbia, steamed into parts of western Washington on Sunday. And you can see that it's just...
Look at that lightning strike in Florida you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And that hotel there went up in flames. And, you know, from British Columbia into Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, it's been crazy out west.
Clearly, I mean, you can tell from the video just by looking at it. Anissa, back over to you.
An extremely rare humpback whale named Migaloo has been spotted in New Zealand in Cook Strait. Previously hunted, there is now a strong effort to save these whales. James Ransley reports men who are descendants of whaling families are now the ones joining the cause to see the species survive.
A pod of humpback whales on their yearly migration. These images an extremely rare sighting of a white humpback whale called Migaloo in the Cook Strait. He's only ever been spotted off the coast of Australia, and these pictures showing just how widely humpbacks travel as they head north to breed. Hoki Pirano and John Norton are descendants of whaling families, but their generation wants to see the species survive.
A couple of years ago, a whale came in the channel. When it swung around, I could see this big eye looking at me. Well, I bloody near cried, you know. Well, how the hell did I shoot those years ago?
They're volunteers with the Conservation Department's annual whale survey.
There it is, 1 o'clock, 100 metres.
Assessing the humpback's recovery since New Zealand banned whaling in 1964. These whales leave Antarctica and they pass through Cook Strait, ending up in warmer waters north of New Zealand. Already the Conservation Department says it's seeing a big increase on whale numbers compared to last year. In just 3 weeks, there have been 125 sightings. Last year, there were 92 in total.
We are actually tracking their recovery. So I think for about 40 years, they ticked along, not really doing too much.
Arapawa Island in the Marlborough Sound's a lookout point over Cook Strait. These men, virtually all descendants of whaling families, taking turns during the month-long survey.
We're all working together, but we're also getting to spend some time with the whalers. They're sharing their culture, and I mean, that's pretty rare these days.
You know, we all used to work together once, and you know, it's a big industry, the whaling industry, and now we're still there, but we're looking for them to save them now.
That change in heart, changing fortunes for these humpback whales.
Migaloo is the most famous white humpback and is believed to have fathered 2 white calves. Another white humpback whale was spotted in Norway this year. A wounded eagle is nursed back to health and was set free this Independence Day.
Yeah, hear from the caretaker who had to let her go when we come back. Welcome back to East Texas News at 4. For an organization in Arkansas, the release of a bald eagle this weekend was better than any fireworks show.
The Hawk Center in Russellville, Arkansas had been caring for the bird for several months. East Texas News' Cody Lillick shows us on July 4th, it was finally time to set her free.
It was just before Christmas, most folks spending their evening preparing for the upcoming holiday. But Hawk Center Director Lynn Slater was rushing into work. She had gotten a call. A bald eagle was found shot in the wild.
The game and fish officer had trudged through some rain and mud for close to 2 miles after some children found her out in the swamp of the Paris Bottoms.
The Hawk Center doesn't have an x-ray machine, so the bird was taken to a nearby vet. She likely had been suffering for days. Her wing was damaged, her leg broken, but the biggest threat to her life was in her blood, poisoning from the lead shots.
Was suffering from lead poisoning. She would just lie down and refuse to eat.
It's of course illegal to shoot a bald eagle, and Lynn believes this was no accident.
And she was perched when she was shot. We can tell that by where she was hit, the trajectory of what was hit. She was not flying when she was shot.
The recovery was long and at times touch and go.
But when she continued to eat and continued to gain weight and obviously was getting more skittish and not wanting to be around us and actually running to the other end of the enclosure when I came in to feed, that's when I said, okay, we're turning around. She's finally coming around, and let's see where this goes.
After 7 months cooped up in a cage, she was finally ready for freedom. And what better day for this symbol of our nation to take to the skies than Independence Day?
It is the most joyful feeling ever, because we have so many sadnesses, so many animals that don't make it, so many that have to be euthanized because they have awful, awful, horrendous injuries. And to see one fly away, it's just makes your heart go flutter. It's wonderful.
Cody Lillick, East Texas News.
The Hawk Center that took in the bird is 100% volunteer and 100% donation funded.
That's great. They care for hundreds of wild animals every year, and you can't ask for a better weekend to let a bald eagle free after being injured.
Awesome.
That's really, really great. Okay, he promised to hold on to it forever. So when he accidentally spent a dollar bill that had his late wife's name written on it, he was devastated, obviously.
Amazingly, it made its way back to him years later. That incredible story is on the other side of this break. The Turkish Coast Guard rescued a baby who had drifted a kilometer offshore this weekend.
Yeah, Melda, a 10-month-old girl, was saved off Turkey's west coast. Look at this. She floated away in an inflatable crib when her parents forgot she was inside. Other beachgoers noticed, and the girl's parents alerted